What's up, ATG fam? Breaking down the Nordic. There's three things I like to be done before even working on the Nordic. One is a steady diet of tibialis raises to put strength and muscle below the knee. Two is a perfect form, pain-free ATG split squat on flat ground, because when you're going to full bend like that, you're actually causing adaptation to your tendons, ligaments, and connective tissue. So we want to really bulletproof up that area before we even work on the Nordic. And then number three, here I am, cold, first thing in the day, flex the quads, palms to floor. That should be easy. All three of those are done on knee ability 0. Now, as we progress from knee ability 0 and move into dense strength, I like to work on the way down of the Nordic. And if you wait till the end of this video, I'll show you every different way that I've found to work on Nordics in terms of equipment. The home gym guys Nordic bar, super easy to strap right on to any rack. You see that? So for the price and for the effectiveness, I rate this as my #1 choice, but that does not mean at all that it's the only way to do it. And if you scroll to the end of this video, I'm gonna clip on every which way to work on it. So in dense strength, we do this on Fridays. We do 25 reps in 5 minutes. So you could do like 5 reps on the minute for 5 minutes. And we're just working on fighting down. So you could start with your hips more bent, and you could work on fighting down like that, until I do want you getting to where you're using no hands and going all the way down that way. So eccentric Nordics are well proven, up to 50% reduction in hamstring injury. And to be clear, with the hamstring flexibility, there's studies on both sides of the coin. There's studies proving the value of hamstring strength for protecting your hamstrings, and there's studies on hamstring flexibility for protecting your hamstrings. And it's very obvious that both sides of that argument are right, and we want both qualities. I mean, for sports, for sprinting, kicking, things like this, there's no doubt that you simply want them to be strong on the way down as they lengthen, as well as being able to lengthen. Tightness or weakness leaves you in harm's way. And then specifically with the Nordic, we're now getting into extreme bulletproofing behind the knee. It's almost, this ability is almost like simulating having stronger ligaments behind your knee in the first place to prevent knee ligament tear. Now, what I've shown you so far is what I would consider the prerequisites to even working on the Nordic. Then in dense strength, we want to work on the way down. Now in standards, here's the standard, and you'll understand why do I have a standards program, okay? The standard for a Nordic is abs come off the bench before the knees bend. Because you see, if you went that way, you could cheat. Abs off the bench before the knees flex, and then the knees flex. That would be the standard, but it doesn't mean that we're only working up. We're still working on the way down, fighting as hard as we can every rep. So that creates a measurable standard of the hamstrings that still allows us to overload eccentrically on the way down. Meaning if you only go to a certain point and then come back up, we're not challenging ourselves really on the way down. We're really challenging what we can lift on the way up, and that's fine. But anytime we can safely train a muscle with eccentric overload, which is really hard to safely do, and Nordics is one of these awesome ways we can, I want you to do that and train it with that eccentric overload. So in standards, I'm letting it rip all the way, full range of motion, then at the bottom resetting. So that's one of 22 different standards. Guess what? A lot of freak athletes can do that without any training. But now let's take, wow, little Johnny, we've been trying to make him fast for 5 years and he's still slow as dirt. And he can't even do one Nordic. Well, like, no crap, he can't run fast. He can't do a Nordic, he can't do this, that, and the other. So the standards program is 22 things that I know from experience that anybody can get to. This took me years to even do one of those. I was the worst athlete genetically. I famously ran a 6-second 40-yard dash my sophomore year of high school, and the basketball coach made me take my shoes off in front of the whole team to prove I didn't have lead weights in them, and made me run again because he thought he thought the stopwatch was glitching. I was the slowest guy on every basketball team. The point is, this gave me a measurable route that actually then made me fast. I've trained many NFL defensive backs now, and I'm actually middle of the pack. I'm not faster than any NFL defensive back I've trained, but I'm actually faster than a number of current NFL defensive backs that I've trained. I'm right in the middle of a pack now for an NFL defensive back, which for a guy who was slow as dirt all through growing up is ridiculous, but that's because I have these standards. So you see what the standards are for? It's measurable. That doesn't mean just because you hit a standard, you're gonna be the fastest guy in the world. Now, let's look at that. So we went over the prerequisites. We went over training on the way down in dense strength. We went over to now having a measurable target in the standards program. Now, how do we go from standard to world class? I like picking different movements to try to take there, not trying to take all 22 movements there. Think about this. If you know the sport of decathlon, right? I think it's like 10 events. The top decathlete in the world would get spanked in every single one of those events if he tried to go compete in that event. But when you put them all together, he's now the best in the world at doing all of them. You see what I'm saying? You can't be the best at every single quality. Now, if you're just trying to be, you could make tens of millions of dollars in sports. For example, like a middle linebacker is someone who's basically has strength and speed, but it doesn't mean he has Olympic level speed. You see what I'm saying there? So you could just try to work towards all of them. You could. Depending on your goal, you could work towards specific ones. So I'm going to show you, here's my idea on the best way to work towards world class, okay? So let's say I start here, get my Nordic on the way up. Well, what's proven? Because that's not proven, never been tested. Although it does activate fast twitch fibers, just like doing it's like Olympic weightlifting for horizontal ability. That's why a lot of people can Olympic lift. They can't jump off 1 foot or run fast. Now that was some eccentric overload right there, right? One leg on the way down of a Nordic. So I can now combine eccentric Nordic training, which is proven, with Olympic lift, meaning explosive concentric training, which is proven, with eccentric, just purely eccentric training, which is proven, with, notice I switched legs, with cluster training, which is proven. Cluster training was proven 20, 30 years after it was being used by Olympic champions. So it's a perfect example. I think a better name for it is not exercise science, but exercise history. If you're studying exercise science, you're typically studying what was already being used 20, 30 years ago. So the stuff I'm doing now, my 19 to 42 inch vertical was impossible by exercise history. Okay, I'm changing, it's not exercise science, it's exercise history. Okay, because look, right now I am combining Nordic training, proven, eccentric training, proven, explosive concentric training, proven, cluster training, proven. But what I'm doing is not scientific because no study's ever been done on going up on a Nordic, no study's ever been done on single leg on a Nordic. So you get my point, is that look at the world. Uber, Amazon, Facebook, all this stuff. There's innovation is always going to be ahead of what you go to study. It doesn't mean that going to college is bad. You can go to college to study what has already been done in the past. If you want to create a different future, you're not going to learn it in school. It's a physical impossibility, okay? So there you go. I'm really happy with that term. I'm happy we cleared that up. Right now, you're learning exercise science, which is what I would call for others exercise history. So right here, laid the foundation with things that, I mean, an ATG split squat hasn't even been tested yet. I mean, come on, okay? This is exercise. This is exercise science. Not testing an ATG split squat yet, and the fact that'll be tested in like 20, 30 years. Like, we already know that full squats, contrary to popular belief, are not only not bad for your knees, but proven better ligaments, better meniscus, better tendons from going to full bend. And then we also know if we look at a half squat versus a half split squat, that we actually get similar benefits. So if we know about full bend, why in the heck wouldn't we want, like this is the foundation of my 19 to 42 inch vertical transformation, knees that never hurt. So that's exercise science. In 20, 30 years, exercise history will prove that. So now I'm gonna link in the different ways I found to work on the Nordic in terms of equipment, but now you know how to safely build up and how to transform genetics beyond what exercise history is aware of.